A very good morning to you. Welcome to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television. I'm Jeffrey, it's a Friday edition of the program, so my goons are here.
I'm not a goon.
It keeps coming back. Well, we'll accept it for context. It's a calm, beautiful Friday morning in every sense of the word, and for that, we're grateful. Good morning. Welcome to your perfect morning starter, the Morning Brief right here on Channels TV. I am Bukola Koka.
Well, it rained over the night. Looks like there'll be more rains today. So we call it a wet Friday. I'm Kayode Okikolu, and it is the day after the end of emergency rule in Rivers State. Quite a number of talking points, really. Rivers just hogged the headlines across the country. I'm not sure there's any other state that is able to do that consistently. I'm talking from the end of 2023. Up until today or yesterday, Rivers has been finding a way to hog the headlines. Which other state is able to do that?
Maybe the little shaking that happened in Lagos, maybe captured. You're talking about hogging the headline in terms of the politics.
Politics consistently.
No. Except there's an election in the state. In fact, sometimes the local government election in Rivers State hogs more headlines. I mean, whether it's the one cancelled or the one redone, whatever, hogs the headline more than even a full state's election. There are states that some people don't even know who their governor is. Even I who cover these things. Sometimes
you have to think hard.
What's the name?
Who is the governor? I'm not going to mention the state.
Because it will be embarrassing for you to not to know.
I wouldn't.
No, but at the top of my head, I already know the governors that are not popular. Maybe they are just conservative and all of that, reclusive by personal nature.
Or maybe there's absolutely nothing happening in their state in terms of development, but I agree with Kayode here. We'll not mention names this morning.
So it's interesting. I don't know whether the governor showed up, but yesterday
he didn't show up.
He didn't show up. Yeah.
So perhaps today we do not know, but the point is that he's been, the emergency rule has been lifted. So many. I think personally, Kayode and Bukola, I'm just exhausted. I'm tired of the issue in Rivers State. The people have their own destiny in their hands. Where we make comments is primarily around the rule of law. I don't debate over people's politics. Politics is what it is. It's a game. If you play it well and you dominate the space, that means you are good at the game. That's really nothing anybody should quarrel over. But if that game is being played against the rule of law, that is where people like us will come with all the full might of the knowledge we have and the understanding we have about these things to say that's not going to happen. So that's why we spoke about the suspension, because these things are for the future. It's not just now. And what I try to remind people is to the fact that things don't just happen. When the First Republic collapsed, it didn't just happen one day. It's a build-up to something. So people who do trading will tell you that there's something they call break of structure. So if for whatever reason nobody's been able to cross 5 for the last 10 times they tried, and all of a sudden 5 is broken to 10, the traders will say they want to look for where that break originated from to take their positions.
You know, it's quite interesting.
So, but for me, I was more concerned about the impact of, the state of emergency on the people of Rivers State in the last 6 months, particularly psychologically with regards to what could happen in the future in Rivers State politically. But it's interesting to see, this was not the measure of the crowd as at this time yesterday, but it's interesting to see the build-up, this groundswell of support from Rivers people across party lines. Because I recall yesterday, one of the interviewees from Deborah's report spoke to people from across the divide coming through to support Governor Sim Fubara. Now, why he didn't show up, it'll be interesting to know eventually when he does show up. But we hear from the reports, especially with the interview from the Minister of the FCT yesterday, that everyone is willing to work together in Rivers State. Whether the sitting of the State Assembly is anything to go by, they're saying the governor should present the budget and commissioner nominees. So we're hopeful for peace and stability politically in Rivers State in the coming days. So it's not just Riverians that were waiting for Governor Fubara yesterday. The entire nation is waiting for Governor Fubara, particularly to see, how these all ends or, works out in terms of relations between, of course, the Wike loyalists at the State Assembly and Governor Fubara, who have now reconciled.
There you go. So, well, some have said this, it's not over just yet. There's still more to come. But just to give you the summary, at the Government House, the governor did not show up in spite of the crowd you saw, thousands of people waiting to receive him. He didn't show up yesterday. Will he show up today? We don't know. The FCT minister says there's no law that says he has to resume yesterday. So speaking of the FCT minister, he says peace has now returned, that he spoke to the governor. So that gives us a sense of peace in that sense, but you never know these things, right? Then at the River State Assembly, they sat and they said, well, we're going to set the legislative agenda for the remainder of our tenure. Don't forget, they fought for the first 2 years plus, so they have just less than 2 years to go, and they asked that the governor submit his commissioner nominees. So that's it in summary, what happened in River State yesterday. We'll feed you back with what plays out today, because it looks like today will also be very vital to seeing just how well that peace would hold in River State.
And so what do we have today? We'll be taking a pause briefly on happenings in River State, of course, but we'll be giving you developments as they unfold. We're keeping tabs with River State to know exactly when Governor Sim Fubara returns to resume official duties. But we're huge on other, talking points today. Speaking of which, Jeffrey, you have...
Yes, so let's find out what the headlines are saying in just a moment. All right, let's get to the Vanguard newspaper. Is the very first of it that we'll be looking at today. Rivers, of course, leads. Assembly resumes sitting. Fubara fails to show up. I'm trying to get a very close look at the riders. They're quite small for my eyes. House urges Fubara to forward commissioners list appropriation bill. As governor to probe Ibas's expenditure. Massive crowd leave in disappointment after 12 hours. I've spoken to Fubara. He assured I'll resume. He assured he will resume. That's Wike. Ads have forgiven him. That's Wike as well. Ibas quits, seeks support for Fubara. Says Tinubu's mandate achieved. Cautions against crippling. States again. Tinubu playing God in River State, according to ADC. Atiku, Obi, others speak. So there is a lot to binge on, guys, as far as the commentaries from across board is concerned when it comes to Rivers politics. So I think as at yesterday or 2 days ago, I think the eve of the exit of Ibas, Vice Admiral retired, there was still appointment. I think he swore in, I think the head of service or so. So we do not know why Fubara hasn't resumed. Because Wike has said, FCT minister has said they've reconciled, and of course the president said there is no point keeping the emergency rule. So when he comes out, we can't speak for him. He knows why he hasn't shown up. His deputy also hasn't shown up. We hope. But what is of interest to me, I saw the bill by the majority leader, Major Jack, yesterday when they were setting a legislative agenda. You've told the governor to prioritize sending commissioner nominee list. I know Sheung, I think, did ask a colleague about the nominations, whether they are going to be influenced as well. You know, that happened the last time when the Wike boys and guys were all over the place. Well, he said he's not going to do anything of such, but they are politicians. As I said, politics will always be politics. But they said, send the list, and they're asking the governors, does he want to work with the appropriation bill that was passed by the National Assembly, or he intends to send a new one, that they are open to all of that. But if we want to talk about politics, trust me, everything that has happened, it looks like it's been scripted already for the sake of peace. Whoever doesn't follow through this peace or this agreement before all of this played out is going to have issues, trust me. So that's why we're looking at it with cautious optimism. But we do not want another crisis. However, they can just work together to the end of this tenure. They should just try and do that. But for the governor, we have seen all the landmines, lame duck situation. Some people have said he should resign. Some people have said he should continue. Whatever happens is up to him. But we hope peace stays in Rivers State. That's what's important to us.
Well, politics seems to, take our attention off certain things that are just as important, maybe even more important. And speaking of which, The Guardian is causing us to reflect this morning with what it has on its front page. Take a look at that. Exhausted doctors, long wait times, test public hospitals' care capacity. And if you look closely at the illustration there on the front page of The Guardian, you see that it's a medical worker himself who's being treated. If you see the overall, worn by the man on the hospital bed in the cartoon impression, and there's a band on his arm that says overworked, and on the top there is brain drain. So this is telling the obvious. As far as the health sector is concerned in the country, with videos, viral videos coming out every other day about, the state of teaching institutions. The other day was about Kogi State. There was another one that came out prior to that time. So, Mr. President, there's more, that is of national concern beyond politics in Rivers State and in any other state. That we should, be paying our attention to. Speaking of which, we can ask questions about the 8 billion naira deployed for the renovation of primary health centers by this administration, from about last year, and so many other questions as well about the welfare of doctors. The FCT doctors just resumed after a strike. I believe the FCT minister addressed that yesterday at the flag off of an event. But there you have it from the front page of The Guardian. Exhausted doctors, long wait times, test public hospitals' care capacity.
Now let's turn our attention to this. Nigeria leads, of course, with the Rivers story as well. Fubara and I fully on the same path, says Wike. How Tambol betrayed me at PDP convention, why I won't back ex-President Jonathan in 2027. All of that you find on the front page. But if you need a comprehensive video of that, you can just head over to our website, Channels TV, where you see the interview yesterday on our political show, Politics Today. It was a 2-hour conversation, and yes, a lot of things were discussed there. So if you want video evidence, go over to our YouTube page. But just before you go, let's finish up with the show. Right under the big picture is the story that concerns passport. And I think for this government, it's something they can beat their chest and say, we achieved this. Nigerian passports can be obtained in 1 week, Ojo, Interior Minister. When people have said that you can actually make a civil service work, all you need is to maybe get the minister to sit down and speak to you about how he was able to crack that very hard nut. If you've had to try to get passports in the past, you know just how hellish it can be. But now, 1 week, in fact, there's this new facility they just launched, and it's beautiful to see. So if this government is trying to list its achievement, that should be top 10 at least. And make sure you repeat and rinse, because this will be vital for 2027. But it's good to see. We hope that we are able to replicate this across public service. Our public service should be cutting edge. All right, so kudos to the minister, to this government for that. You get all of the kudos where you deserve it, and where the knocks are demanded, people also have it in store for you. So there you have the front page of this Nigerian newspaper today. And that's it with a look at the front pages this morning. We're starting off with the big conversation around that video that has been trending, showing students engaged in a very worrisome behavior, smoking, drinking. Channels Television reached out to the school, that's Excel College, said to be in the midst of all of this. Well, we're yet to get their official response, but they did say that they're speaking with government on this, cooperating with investigation, they say, but there needs to be some concrete response from the government, from the school, and the stakeholders, really, parents, guardians, and the rest. So that's where we're starting off from this morning on the show. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. And so we're starting off with that very concerning viral video of teenagers, secondary school students who were seen, engaging in a smoking feast, for want of a better description. So we want to, try to understand what exactly is happening in our institutions with a, view to calling out those responsible, for care of our wards. Joining us now to have this conversation is the founder at Akinfadeyi Foundation and the convener of the initiative Corruption Not in My Country. Mr. Akinfadeyi joins us now virtually. Good morning, Mr. Fade. Thank you so much for coming through on this one.
Good morning, Bukola. How are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. And we spoke earlier about this, and you said that you had seen the video, and I just want to get your initial reactions to this one, and particularly with a view to understanding whether there's more that may have been happening behind the scenes, and this has only just come through as a result of the social media.
All right. Thank you very much. My very first reaction to it is this is very, very heartbreaking. It's devastating to see that our young ones are literally wasting away. What I see there, I don't know how anyone else will interpret it, but it looks to me like substance abuse because we don't know what has been wrapped into those things they're smoking or that they're inhaling. I don't know if others like this are happening behind because I don't do well with speculations. But whatever we've seen here now, when we look at when we have carried out a comprehensive evaluation of what's going on in our country, where United Nations, excuse me, when the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in its recent report said 14.3% of Nigerians between the age of 15 and 64 are doing drugs, are abusing substance, then we do know that this is probably just a microcosm of what we're dealing with. And the reason I said it's heartbreaking is because I read somewhere, I think it was a conference in Tanzania, that someone said, in the heart of every young person lies the potential for greatness. Youth is not a phase, it's a revolution waiting to happen. So where the revolution of the Nigerian youth is headed is looking to me, if we weigh it on the premise of what we've seen here, is looking to me to be on a self-destructive path. And there has to be, we do have a compelling imperative now to sit back, draw back, have a collective approach to reversing this very, very road to perdition.
When you look at that picture, when I saw the videos, restlessness, of course, of young people, curiosity of the young people, I can even add even stronger terms, but for television. But you know what I'm saying here? When you see them carry out these things, what is the right set of action to take so that it doesn't push them further in, but rather deter them? Because they are a very curious set of people, and they can be quite dangerous at this very stage.
Very good question. Do you allow me to extrapolate this a little further? I do not think what's the action to take now, that is even the issue. Because whatever action we're taking now is symptomatic. The disease itself, it's already gangrenous. We're dealing with a very, very serious case of emergency. So we need to look at what have we done wrong. So what do you want to do to these youth now? You want to cane them? You want to expel them? You want to, whatever discipline you met now to them now, they're still going to go out there and still smoke. They're still going to go out there and under the influence of this substance, maybe organized to rape some innocent girl, maybe slap their parents. But what have we done wrong is probably the question we should be asking. And what have we done wrong? What we've done wrong is a collective wrong. Society has failed these youth. Number one, I don't know what parents do at home again with their children, because some of these children must have come from some parents before they went to that school. Are parents raising entitled children? Are parents raising children that they don't have time to cater to, but they compensate with mobile devices to while away the time? Are parents raising children that they don't have the time to train, but they give money to? Are parents raising weak children that they feel, oh, you know what? We need to get into modern parenting. There's a friend of mine that posted something this morning on social media. Her name is Tadema Kinwa. She said, are you raising weak children? Where society says, oh, no, don't talk to them. Oh, don't go this way. Oh, don't go that way. We've seen situations where it went viral that because a parent was trying to reorder a child, the father came to the school to actually assault the teacher. So what are you expecting the teachers of these students to do? If the principal of these students elects to punish them, as at the time he probably started noticing these, was he afraid of parents? Was he afraid of social media bandwagon assault? Was he afraid of possible cultism attack from these students? So I'm saying that we have a society that is rapidly going south. And so, yeah, if you ask me what should be done now, in the days we went to secondary school, they will all be rusticated, expelled from school. They'll be taken to psychological and mental system of evaluation. And I don't even know if our country has those systems in place. Listen, it's not only in Nigeria that we deal with substance abuse or epidemic. The greatest nation in the use of opium in the world is Iran. The figures coming from the greatest abuse of cocaine is from Antwerp, a city called Antwerp in Belgium. Canada has those issues. But the question is, do those systems have the infrastructure to cope with this? The last report I read about Canada, citizens are still complaining that, oh, you know what, this is not funded enough. But do we even have that in place? I just read from the reports you shared now that doctors that are meant to treat just normal ailments are complaining. So when are we even going to start talking about mental abuse treatment, mental health conversations? When are we going to start having that? So I would say punishments can be meted out, all of that can be done, but we have more fundamental, critical issues of social deficits to interrogate. And except we go there, we're just scratching the surface.
Right. A couple of issues to unpack from that. And first off, it looks like they're trying to also send a message to parents, to guardians, because there seemed to be some sort of boldness to what they were doing. And I mean, they knew they were being filmed. It wasn't as though it was a secret camera. You could see that they knew they were being filmed. So perhaps they were also trying to send a message. I don't know what you think that message is, on the one hand. But the flip side is what this, and I think you've touched on it, the possibility of this affecting them, and what will this scale be? How do we ensure that we'll still get the very best from them? Because that moment of wrong judgment, or just maybe 2 minutes of wrong judgment, 5 minutes of wrong judgment, shouldn't be what will determine their future. Because you have a lot of people making wrong decisions from time to time, but that doesn't define them. They're able to move on from it, except that this one has found its way to social media. So I wanted to speak to those two things. One, do you think they were trying to send a message to either the parents, school authorities, or authorities in general? And secondly, how do we ensure that these 5 minutes of wrong judgment doesn't ruin their future?
Okay, thank you very much. So I don't want to theorize this conversation. I don't want to indulge malfeasance. You introduced me as founder of the convener of the Corruption Not in My Country project. So I shy away from deodorizing debauchery. Let me take you back to when we went to school, which makes me feel there is no youth that has serious intentions about his future that should elect into self-destruction, self-immolation, to send a message to the society. You could say about me that I had a dad that was relatively comfortable, my mom, a teacher, and I was barely 5, 6 years old, and then life happened. I lost my dad. And I can tell you that society was as bad as it is now. Maybe not as bad as it is now, but then too, people were complaining about, oh, things are tough, oh, things are tough, oh. Hope you know that Nigerians have consistently complained that things are tough since time immemorial. Now, at the age of 9, some uncle felt, oh, you know, Aki is last born, is only male, we don't want him to get spoiled, so send him over to me in Kwara State. And so I went there. I didn't have a choice. I was just bundled there. And maybe because they thought they needed to be tough on me, I was literally converted to a glorified houseboy. I'll do the laundry, I'll do the cooking, I'll do every chore, and then I'll hawk. I'll hawk in heavy traffic. When it's cold season, I'll hawk cardigans, sweaters. When it's hot season, I'll hawk soft drinks, Coke, ginger ale, Fanta, stocked in a crate, 24 bottles, packed with ice blocks, with sack. And I could walk around Ilorin City, like, I could do like 15 kilometers walking around Ilorin City because I must finish selling those things. And I saw all kinds of behaviors around me. One day, I was so tired, I still had 6 bottles to sell. I could not go home to say, oh, I couldn't finish selling these things. So I entered some place called Maraba Garage. I sat down, and some guy came to me to say, go and buy cigarettes for me. I was barely 10, 11 years old. And I said, no, I can't buy cigarettes for you. And I saw some boys that should be about 15, 16 smoking. And this guy got up, went to buy the cigarette, came back to me, gave it to me, and said, start smoking. I'll deal with you today. And I said, no, I will not smoke. And he landed me a slap. And with all the energy in me, I pushed him really hard. And then the chairman of the garage came, lifted me up, took me away from there, took me into his bus, and asked me, why are you hawking? You're a small boy. Where's your mother? And I started weeping. But the point is, I saw everything around me. I didn't smoke. I saw everything around me. I didn't do whatever they were doing in that garage. Weed. So the point about Nigerian youth today, believing that they could get rebellious to send some message to society, is suicidal. Society has always been challenged. Society has always had all kinds of inequalities. People must decide that they want to grow and grow well and be meaningful.
All right. Mr. Friday, thank you for giving us, an insight into what your background looks like. And that makes me think that, probably the parents of those young boys may be watching right now or may have seen the viral video and can identify their children from that video. And I wonder what is going through their minds right now. And in response to that video, some parents have said, look, my child is for no reason going into a boarding house. I'm going to watch them from home. But is that really the challenge? Do you sense a helplessness in ideal parenting for young children at that age? Jeffrey said earlier about how dangerous they might be. That might be extreme, but they're in a very sensitive stage. So is there a helplessness? And what can we do? Because that foundation is more important than, anything else that we may be talking about, the foundation, how we can help them at this critical stage.
What we can do, thank you very much for that question, Buki. What we can do is, let me go back to parents. You must be the role model of what you want to see in your children. At what age did those kids get into the boarding school? And what was going wrong at home before they got into boarding school to start doing that? Do parents set clear, consistent expectations and boundaries for their children? Do parents give love and attention and balance it with discipline? These are three things I've outlined. Or are parents too busy chasing money? That's one. Two, like I said, this issue is collective. What are those children seeing on social media? What are our politicians saying, or what are they doing? Ostentatious lifestyle. A politician, the only thing he does every day is to have a cameraman constantly with him, taking videos of him walking around, pacing around his office, because he just got an intellectually amputating law degree, showing off Lamborghini, showing off expensive cars with possible funds that needs to be investigated if they are not constituency project funds. And Nigerian children are seeing this. And so you find those children talking about, me too, when I get there, I'm going to steal my own. This is why I'm saying that our problem is collective.
All right. All right.
Sorry, let me take the question of parents' frustration about boarding house. If there is, see, the point there is these children can still be at home and do this right under the noses of their parents. Mm. And that's why I'm harping on there has to be discipline. We need to, I'm so sorry if this offends the sensibility of anyone, but we need to go back to that time where we all feared that mantra of remember the child of whom you are.
And that would be a fine place to anchor it, Mr. Fadi. That's as vivid as it can get. We must thank you very much for coming on the program. Mr. Akinfade is a founder, Akinfade Foundation, and the convener, Corruption Not in My Country initiative. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
And there's more to come on the program. Join us again. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Let's move away from that to some other conversation that has to do with the oil and gas sector. And there are proposals to amend the PIA, that's the Petroleum Industry Act, that regulates the activities of the oil and gas sector. But that seemed to be causing some challenges and is going to produce some results as well. So for context, so there are proposals to amend certain sections of the Petroleum Industry Act, where, for instance, the NUPRC maybe dovetailing from just being regulator to elements around commercialization, or the commercial elements of their work. And also the midstream, downstream gas infrastructure fund is also in the works as far as that is concerned, where the NMDPRA boss will probably be having a supervisory role over the executive director of the gas infrastructure fund. So all of these challenges, on one hand, is about blocking leakages, fiscal prudence and performance, but there are also governance challenges. So we're going to break all of this down for context. But let's bring in our guest who understands these things better. Mabuye Obu is the oil and gas sector analyst and the Niger Delta activist. Mr. Obu, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you. Good morning.
I guess you have seen the PIA, some of the sections that will be touched as far as this regulation, the sector is concerned. But what's your general overview for context so that the audience will be able to understand what we're talking about here?
Okay, so very simply, I would say, without no offense to the Nigerian Senate or the National Assembly, but it's somehow very offensive when people concern themselves with things that are not important to the Niger Delta people. First of all, in 2021, when this unfortunate PIA was given, unfortunate, I'm selecting my words.
You will explain what it means.
I'll tell you, and there's a whole lot of protests here and there, even in the Niger Delta. There are areas where we had expected the National Assembly to concern itself with, which is the area of, the allocation to host communities, because for us, that's what's more important to us. Why do I say that? Nigeria is a hub for greenhouse gas emission. And the hub for greenhouse gas emission in Nigeria is the Niger Delta. The year 2023 was the hottest year in the world due to emissions. Nigeria is signatory to, any type of UN zero emissions here and there, even at the level of COP28 in Dubai. To the glory of God, I was also part of it. I attended, and our dear president came with the largest retinue of persons to attend, and Nigeria is only there asking for what they call reparation. Reparation is you can emit, kill the people in the Niger Delta, but just give us some money. You understand? That's what it means. I'm just putting it in the the local way. But that's by the way. Now, in its magnanimity, the PIA bill also, looked at what they call the midstream downstream gas infrastructure funds, which is the MDIF, right? They came up with a governance tool, which they call the NMDPRA, which is the Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Act. Listen, it's like NAFDAC and MZO. Today, NAFDAC is telling us that they are regulators of our medicines, our tablets, or whatever, the health. And that today, this current PIA Section 52 that gave the act to MDIF and NMDPRA, Section 52 is part of what the arrangements of they are going to amend about 14 sections or so or thereabouts, right? But we're concerned today now with the Section 52 that gave the act that established the MDGIF, that's the Midstream Downstream Gas Infrastructure Funds, and the governance tool or authority, which is NMDPRA. Now, I'm using NAFDAC and let's say EMSA or SWIFA, whatever you call it. NAFDAC is to tell you that, please, whenever you do this, this is standards for you to produce these drugs. By this current arrangement, if it's allowed to scale through, right, you're telling us that NAFDAC is now a shareholder in EMSO for about 30% or so. So you are now regulated, and also, so there's conflict of interest. You cannot be a judge of your own case. What do I mean? The section they are trying to also amend in the Section 52 is to give more power to the NMDPRA. Now, you mentioned it in your opening that we have gas infrastructure. When people talk about gas infrastructure, it's something that concerns you and I, not just the Niger Delta, yes. I am from the Niger Delta, and I understand how this thing works. But trust me, you may not like what I want to say, but it's not offensive. As a young man living in the Niger Delta, staying under the flare, Nigeria is signatory to gas flaring laws or whatever. It affects our testosterone. This is fact, please. We live in a world where it's tech savvy. You can just check all this out. Our lives are endangered. In Port Harcourt, where I live in particular, we have what they call particulate matter, which in local parlance they call black soot. That has not been addressed. It's also effluent from oil and gas. A whole lot of things are happening. And so the Nigerian government, I praised President Bola Ahmed Tinubu first for, in the first quarter of this year, I've always been critical on the president, but on this, I doff my hat for him. Why? He approved that FAC should remit about 256.5 billion naira to the MDGIF. MDGIF gets 0.5% from gas sales in Nigeria. That's huge. NMDPRA is regulatory, so he's seen a whole lot of money, and he's probably the big man, so he's approaching the National Assembly, maybe, to give him more power. No, it's not an allegation, but if we allow this slide, it's going to affect you and I. We want green energy, green gas, green everything in the world.
But under the current structure, independent of the amendment that is being proposed, as the NMDPRA led, an ideal environment in terms of ease of doing business and all the other bureaucratic bottlenecks that would impede investment. Has the NMDPRA given an ideal environment for gas investments?
God bless you. You just answered the question. So listen, MDGIF cannot function if NMDPRA used NAFDAC and EMZO to say if EMZO wants to produce something that would kill mosquitoes, like permanent cure for malaria that we have, that's predominant here, for example. And NAFDAC is saying, don't do it because we still want you to, let's be treating it, let's not eliminate it. That's what is going on. It's governance, because they have the power to say don't or do, or that don't bring this into the market. Now, NMDPRA, have they done the right things? No, this is the truth. They haven't. Now, the point is, I don't even know who heads the MDGIF, right? But the point, I am interested because it's going to affect me, it's going to empower me, it's going to empower my people. Because when you look at the streams, the PIA itself, that I say is an unfortunate, governance law that Nigeria is celebrating, nothing to celebrate. 3% is a far cry of what I go through as a person. I am not here to tell you that we have all the oil and nothing is happening. Just a week ago, I was at a place called Cotton Channel, where a particular company is stealing our crude through what they call badging. And what badging is alien to petroleum engineering. You just say, what does it mean? This is a wellhead. Instead of you to put the trunk lines that will push it into the flow station and you get it in a real way through a LACT unit that you can measure that. LACT unit is a metering system that you say, okay, this is this. We have produced 10,000 barrels. You now bring it to the flow station, bring a badge, and you just, like hose, like water, you put it there and they freight it to an export terminal. And the streams, this particular process, none of the Niger Deltans or the community members are involved in this. They were shipped from our Obodo Lagos and Obodo Abuja. Sorry, but this is just what it is, but that's not what I'm here for. So I'm on ground and I understand what is going on. I will protect what will protect my people and what will empower me as a young person, and also the people, and even yourself. You need good, clean gas. You understand? Let me just use an instance. This is not to praise any government. I won't mention the name of the government. When we had a former, embattled petroleum minister that we had that is in London today, they did what they call, I've forgotten the name, but kerosene to every community or every home, where it was like law that you go to the fueling station, you could buy kerosene, and they will give you a ton price into your jerry can. You understand? For 50 naira per liter. I'm not saying they should make it 50 naira now. We can, if the gas infrastructure, this MDGIF, is allowed to function properly, we could begin to have gas. We've gone to all of these countries that things work. Some people just have pipes connected to them, and you pay a token. You understand? And you get gas. I don't need to lift cylinders here and there. So please, I don't want to take the show, but the point is, this Governance Act, this PIA amendment, the National Assembly should concern itself with bottlenecking the MDPRA and the MDGIF, allow the midstream, downstream petroleum gas infrastructure to function and give us more, compensation. We need 5% or 10%. That's what they should be talking about, not telling us.
Just to be clear.
Please go ahead.
The voluminous PIA
Thank you.
Right,
I like that.
which you have, I'm sure you've gone through. The only issues you have, for which you described as unfortunate, that was the term you used.
That's the entire PIA itself, is unfortunate.
You said unfortunate, right?
Yes.
Just to be clear, so we properly contextualize this. You have issues with what the host communities get.
Very well.
That's one.
Very well.
What's the second issue you have with it?
The entire PIA gamut itself.
Not the gamut. What specific issues do you have with it? Aside the
For now, the reason I'm bringing that, you know that it's about 200 and something pages. Yes. So I can't sit here, even if I'm a stenographer or whatever you call it, right, to sit here and tell you page by page.
I just wanted to isolate the issues.
No, yeah, for the purpose of this conversation and with the current, so-called amendment that is, making our senators and National Assembly members, have a field day in Abuja, I am saying they should concern themselves with what will empower the people that bears the brunt.
Okay, so
you understand? And that thing, primarily, they should give us more, instead of going to unbundle or, dismember certain things that is already, the MDGIF, even to my mind, needs more powers to function.
Okay.
You understand? Than now going to concern yourself with that. No.
All right, so
rather give us more.
Two issues you have with the PIA.
Please.
So we understand what the host communities get and the MDGIF, the provision.
Yeah, the provision.
That says
the NMDPROA they are giving too much powers to the NMDPROA.
But as it is right now, the MDGIF has the power.
They have the power, but it's just like you and I. You called me to come to your station to speak, right? You could just yank me off right now. So that's the
we will in a few minutes.
But that's the truth.
But in the nicest way.
No, I understand. But that's what is going on, because you have the knife and you have the carrot, the stick and the carrot.
So for us,
you're giving the stick and you're hitting the guy.
Right. For us, our segments are, we have time slots for our segments. But that's, by the way, let's come back to the oil and gas.
No, I just want to ease the tension here.
We want to be able to tie this conversation to Nigerians. Because the picture you're painting is having better infrastructure, gas infrastructure, so that people are able to have access to gas at affordable rates. There's a proper gas infrastructure. How will the proposed provision now that gives NMDPRA the authority, or that proposes to give it the authority, how will it affect that? Will it affect it negatively or positively? Because some will say more oversight is good. Let all hands be on deck so we're able to monitor what's going on.
With the current oversight, if this is allowed to go, there's a lot of bottlenecks where when you bring something, when this guy wants to do anything, he must get concurrence on, not just from the NDPROA, but the NDPROA is by the PIA law.
So more bureaucracy.
Too much bureaucracy. The Ministry of Environment, what's it called? Petroleum Resources is there. The minister, the presidency, these are part of the governance, structure of the MDGIF.
But pardon me, but under this watch, the government has signed agreements with 10 companies for gas infrastructure.
I wanted to get
There's
that.
the other one, the construction of KKK gas, I believe, by Olisev. So when you say that, the MDGIF is not being given the room to work, but there are investments in gas that are ongoing.
Okay, so when this thing started, the PIA did not start from this administration. It started in the last administration, right? And when something is your baby, you want to nurture it, right? Secondly, the AKK, Ajakuta Kaduna Kano gas pipeline, came to fruition because the president, as at that time, made it look like it should work. Let me give you a similar example. That's what they call PAGMI, Presidential Artisanal Gold Mining Initiative. The Ministry of Petroleum Resources, it has a governance token, I call it token, or governance tool, managing that, and there's a funds from the Ministry of Environment that funds gold mining in the north. This thing happened overnight. Sorry, I'm not here to criticize anybody, but because it is, it is there to the president as at that time, so he made it work. Currently, this administration is trying to now restrict the options and giving, there's no breather for the MDGIF. And I am interested that instead, that concerns me. I'm not concerned with the NMDPROA because it's doing nothing to me and my people. But the MDGIF, I can set up a CNG.
Is that fair to say, though, that it's not doing anything?
It's not, because directly I don't get anything. Yeah, it may not be exactly that, but when I give you so much power, you decide. I don't want to go into politics, right? A lot is happening where somebody is like equal to God and equal to, you think you're assistant God or whatever, and that's what they're trying to do. Concern yourself with what, because at the end of the day, Nigeria is saying, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is saying there's decade to gas transformation plan. It is the MDGIF that can give us that, the decade to gas.
So you feel that, I'd like you to continue with the example you gave. Because now the amendments to Section 52, subsection 5B, it's usually that the executive director would take care of administration and management and all of those things. But now there's a clause added to it, supervision, under the supervision of the chief something authority, that's the boss of the NMDPRA. How will this affect investment opportunity?
Now, you should know that this is Nigeria, and anything that has to do with Nigeria, that's people want to second guess it first. There's corruption attached to it. There's a whole lot. Investors, there will be investors' apathy, because when there's always change of laws or collapse of certain acts or amendments, tomorrow you can't plan for 10 years in Nigeria with naira devaluation and a whole lot. Let me give you a very simple example. Last 2023, 2 years ago, under the last administration, the NNPC decided to play the role of CBN by going to borrow $3 billion from Afrexim Bank. And they said payable with crude. Now, the NNPC cannot produce more than 400,000 barrels of oil per day. Cannot. The only stream of NNPC that can produce, that is saddled with the responsibility of producing oil, is what we call the NPDC, today NEPL, in Benin. The assets under it, and maybe just few part of NAPIMS. The rest is coming from the IOCs and other companies. Can you go into business with Shell's portion of, of crude, and say you're signing? So how many years will the NNPC and Afrexim Bank deplete the environment in the Niger Delta, our reservoirs, the environment, to get back $3 billion? At what amount was crude as at that time when they signed the deal? You would ask. So it might take years, it might take months. So does it mean that NNPC will not produce every month, if it's 5 months, that NNPC is having 0 naira? And the reason they gave was that they were using that to show up the naira and naira devaluation. So going into, I don't want to use the word useless, things that are not important to me. That's why I said the NMDPRA is not answering my question. But what can answer my question is the MDGIF, because I am concerned. I am a local. I live there as a villager, living in my community. I live in my community today. And there's oil, there's flare there. So maybe that's why I don't have so much children or too many children, because of the testosterone issue. I told you can Google it. So why? We need governance on board. So it's affecting us. Allow these people to function. Don't give too much power to them.
What we're to take out from the conversation is the crux of the matter is that rather than overseeing and oversighting NNDPR oversighting, being in the system,
and having share stake and all of that,
being part of the commercial decision, it should just stay as a regulator.
Stay as a regulator,
so that the system will work freely.
You cannot be a judge of your own case.
Okay, I know that issue has also been raised with the NUPRC when it comes to the NMPCL as well, in terms of regulator, referee and player situation. But it's a conversation we'll keep exploring.
Of course.
But your last take, going forward, 10 seconds.
On the issue,
yes,
allow the National Assembly, thanking them for thinking that the petroleum sector needs change and all that. But please, those of us that are really badly affected by the petroleum activities, the greenhouse gas zone, the Niger Delta, they should consider us, more especially the host community. Instead of going to amend Section 52, please, National Assembly should look into amending the section that empowers us, increase our quota to even 10% or 15%.
Okay, of course, this conversation is an ongoing conversation. We hope we can get, because it's hard sometimes to get either NUPRC, NMDPRA to come and have
just
no,
we're
totally out of time.
Okay.
I must apologize.
No
worries.
That's
it's
fine.
An ongoing conversation,
of
because
course,
oil and gas sector is our cash cow, and anything that happens to it affects all of us. So we hope we can get the other side, because there is reasoning in the amendment. Let's also hear that reasoning. But of course, there's agitation from persons like you. Maboye Obu is the oil and gas sector analyst and a very ardent Niger Delta activist. Thank you so much.
Okay, no worries.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, well, let's taper down a bit to the soft side of things. You want to find out what it is? Find out in just a moment. We'll be right back.
Well, it's Friday, so let's make this a Friday to remember. We have joining us legendary Jeffrey Daniel, American dancer, singer, songwriter, choreographer, and a founding member of R&B vocal group Shalamar. He's live with us from our Abuja studio. Good morning, Mr. Daniel. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. So let's make this a show to remember, a conversation to remember. Of course, I'm using the title of one of your popular songs, A Night to Remember, well, I'm using it for this conversation. There's a lot of history with you. By the way, I must mention that you don't look your age at all. You're nearing 70. You're nearing 70. Am I correct?
That makes me 5 years older than Nigeria, the independent Nigeria.
Amazing. And, you know, everything just works out great. Shalamar is returning to Nigeria after, what, about 40 years or thereabouts? And I'm talking about the whole group returning to Nigeria. You said you were relocating to Nigeria, I think it was 2011. So you are partly Nigerian, whether you like it or not, in spite of the fact that you grew up in LA, you've done great work. But I want to start from your story. Then we'll talk about Shalamar coming to Nigeria. You've worked with Michael Jackson. I mean, before the whole moonwalk thing, you were gliding in that sense. So give us a peek, particularly for the younger generation who have seen you as a judge, maybe a Nigerian Idol, but like, I know this face. Give us a peek into your own history in the whole R&B space.
Okay, well, I grew up in Los Angeles, California. My mother, she was a single parent, and she played piano in the church, so I grew up in the church singing in the choirs and all that. That's where I got the music from. And I started dancing with my two older sisters and my mother. That's why I started dancing. Being that I was the youngest in the family, I didn't know that you're supposed to stop that and get a real job, so I continued doing it. And then the Soul Train television show came along in '71, and it was my life ambition to be a Soul Train dancer because I loved dancing so much. So I started dancing on the Soul Train television show, not knowing that they would start a Soul Train record company. And that's what they built the group Shalamar around me. I'm the founding member of Shalamar. And so the rest is history. Along with Howard Hewitt and Jody Watley, we sold over, 25 million albums and things like that, and going around the world. We came here in '82, and that was a milestone for me to come back to Africa at that time. But we broke up in '83. Now that we've reformed again, and we've been performing around the world, mainly in Europe and Asia, places like that, and now it's time to reunite with our Nigerian audience again. So we're bringing it back. It's not just a concert, it's an event. And we're bringing back that. Shalamar is now the last of that era of the high performance groups of the R&B era. You know, the choreography, the costumes, the band, the live band, the arrangements. It's going to be a magical event.
And it's beautiful that this is happening in Nigeria. It's happening very close to our Independence Day celebration. You're older than Nigeria in that sense, so it's okay. We'll take that. But how rigorous has it been for you? I know you can still bust a good move. I mean, it's always in the bloodstream. But how has it been transitioning from the era of music from 70s to the 80s, 90s, the 2000s, and now everything is on TikTok. You have to dance, you have to do all of that to promote your song. So how has it been for you still finding a way to stay relevant in spite of the changes in time? Must have been rigorous, or must be rigorous.
That's a good question. The main difference is the technology, as you mentioned. It's the technology and the new platforms that we're using now that has totally turned everything upside down and sideways and this way and that way. But the main thing is that we have indelible hits. We have evergreen hits that have stood the test of time. And it's that legacy of Shalamar hits that the people love. You know, the greatest compliment we've had was our music is a soundtrack to certain people's lives. And I can say that with Stevie Wonder's music, or, Paul McCartney, or the Jacksons. So to hear people say that about Shalamar's music, that is just so humbling. And I think that's what it is. And it's feel-good music. You know, if you listen to all the conversations that are going on in the news, what's happening in America now, and the things that are happening here, people need a respite. And Shalamar is that respite to come down, sing along, dance along, to feel good about just being alive again.
Interesting. I know that you only summarized, the journey from the beginning up until now, going through, the beginnings of Shalamar. It was interesting to note that you guys had been through a whole lot together. And since 1977, Shalamar Group is still performing, and you're performing in just a few days in Abuja. Give us an insight into what has been your staying power, because it's not, all groups that began in 1977 that are still active entertainers in 2025.
Well, I would attribute it to, I think, my faith in the Creator, my faith in humanity, and I'm a positive person. And people think, they say to me, Jeffrey, you still look so young, you still dance and that. I think that I still keep in tune with the child in my heart. We all have a child's heart, and I just keep in tune with that. My family, I'm so blessed. I have two daughters here now in Abuja, Jadia and Jenna, and a beautiful wife. And I stay close to my family, and I keep life simple, try to take care of myself. I'm not on some big kind of diet or workout program, but I just try to do the right things, and I try to take care of myself and pace myself. And I love life. I love people. I love humanity.
Interesting. But there's no way we'll have this conversation. We're not going to talk about Michael Jackson. 16 years down the line, he's passed. And sometimes it's always very interesting to hear people talk about personal relationship with icons, other icons, because you are an icon in your own right as well. And of course, the issue around, the story around you teaching Michael Jackson the moonwalk, or the backslide movement, as it's called. So talk to us about that relationship, that particular relationship. I don't know, I'm sure you've spoken about this over and over again.
Well, I mean, it's funny because now it's in a totally new context. Michael saw me doing the backslide in '79 on Soul Train with the group Eclipse that I put together. And then in 1980, he came to watch us perform at Disneyland. He brought little Janet Jackson, and they stood in the wing and they watched us dance. Then he asked me to teach him to dance. I choreographed a Bad video, Smooth Criminal video. I'm in the Beat It video, but just a little in it. And I went to Brazil with him for the They Don't Really Care About Us video. I worked on the Ghost. I worked with Michael over a 20-year period. And the last job I had in America was at MJJ Music, his record company, as A&R and creative consultant. And so, but the funny thing is, because my father didn't raise me, but in 2008, my father showed me my family tree and found out that I'm Michael's cousin. So all the years we were working together, I never knew that we were related to the Jacksons. And we know that now. So we now call each other cousin all the time. We speak Jermaine Jackson, Janet, and Randy, and the older sister, Rebe. We call each other cousin all the time. But all the time we were working, I never knew we were related.
That's very interesting. I mean, there's more revelations just happening on this conversation, right? I want to get some more personal information from you, right? Because I know once you're on stage, there seems to be that distance. All people see is the performer, the dancer, the choreographer, and a lot of people really want to just soak in into your personal life. You talked about how you stay in touch with a child in you, something I'm holding on to right now, because you're almost 17 and you're still a child at heart. But how are you able, and I want to use this carefully, how are you able to stay sustainable? Because some say music is, okay, let me use football as an example. There's the whole debate around footballers making a lot of money while they were playing, and they get to retire, and it just tanks, literally. And we've had examples time and again. Even musicians here as well. You have them in their glory days, riding all the big cars with the jewelries, and then after a while, they tank again. But that's not the same for you. judge on Nigerian Idols, and I'm talking from 77. Bukola asked that. So how are you able to stay viable financially now? Did you make investments? Did you protect your, your IP and all of that? What is the secret to this?
That's a very good question, and I think a lot of the young people need to adhere to this conversation, because they have to understand that the life of the average entertainer, it can be between 5 and 10 years that you're, really relevant and at your peak. And there are exceptions that transcend the generations and transcend, through the decades. I'm kind of like I've been like a nomadic person. I was born and raised in America. I moved to the UK when I left Shalamar, so I was doing the musical Starlight Express. I did a movie with Paul McCartney. I was doing these. Then I moved to Japan. I had a production company. I was producing and choreographing. I hosted a radio show for 3 years in Japan, and Michael brought me back to America again. And now I'm in Nigeria. So I've been moving from continent to continent, not intentionally. It's just the path that my life took me on. But as a child, my mother always told us to be proud to be African. She always instilled that in us as a child. So I always had this thing in me that one day in my life I would love to work and live in Africa or do something in Africa. And that chance presented itself, and I took it. And I think that's the best choice I made in my adult life. I really do. Because not only that, I was so blessed because my daughter Jadea was born on my birthday, August 25th. She's 5 years old now. And then I have a 1-year-old, Jenna. She's 1 year old and 5 months. And I have an amazing family. I'm going to tell you guys something. I don't know about the other Black Americans, but they need to know this. When you come to Nigeria, you don't make friends. When you come to Nigeria, you make family. And I have family here. I have people here, family base that is just so amazing to me. Dr. Wada at the Nisa Hospital, the people at the Jabi Boat Club, the people at the Dune Center, my brother Sadina Dantata. I just have a big family base here with the Shehu Taraki family, Mama Sambo at El Amin International School, Ben Murray Bruce, who brought us here in '82, Tunde Babalola, my manager. I've had a Nigerian manager for over 20 years now, Tunde Babalola, and Bright Jaja of I Create Africa. I have family here. So I think I found my niche from going from America to the UK to Japan, but Nigeria, this is my niche. And you know what? I did not know that I am the very first Black American entertainer to come and stay here. I did not know that until I came.
Just give this man a national honor already. you need like national honors already.
And I'm sure that you're going to get one before you leave. So many amazing revelations coming through. Your cousins to the Jacksons. You taught them Michael Jackson the moonwalk. You have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old at nearly 50. And you've stayed the course through the challenges. I'm spoiled for choice now, but tell us what to look forward to, on the 1st, and I believe you have another performance in Abuja in a few days. Can you still do the moonwalk, and are we going to get to see, the Shalamar perform A Night to Remember?
You're going to hear all the hits. We're going to do all the hits. Yes, I can still do the backslide, AKA the moonwalk. Howard Hewitt's vocals are on point. We have baby girl Carolyn Griffey with us now. She is the daughter of the Solar Record Company owner, and her mother, Carrie Lucas, was the first lady of Soul Train and Solar Records. So Carolyn's not new to us. That's why we call her baby girl. But, she's come in the group after Jody Watley. But she's been with us over 20 years now, so she's the longest standing female member in Shalamar. I hate to toot my own horn, but it's an amazing show. It's very exciting. We just came off a UK-American tour. We went to Spain, we went to Amsterdam. The people are up, they're dancing, they're enjoying themselves, they're bringing their grandkids and their children, and they're having the time of their life. It's a time to celebrate life. It's a time to celebrate life. And Shalamar is going to give you that. So you guys come out, you're going to have the time of your life.
Well, I don't know. Jeffrey, do you want to put in the last word?
Yeah, I just wanted to find out from you. Okay, well, namesake now. My name is Jeffrey as well, so. But I can't do the moonwalk, by the way.
All right. I'll teach you.
Yeah, I would love to learn. I'm a terrible dancer, but I would try, you know. But just before we let you go, there's something you said, and looking at your story and your history and what you've done, a little bit of an advisory to younger generation in terms of building a scalable brand as a creative. You can sing, you can dance, you can do all of this. Talk to us about building a scalable brand in just a minute.
About building a brand? Well, okay, the thing is, what you said, work on your craft, master your craft. Don't just get in the industry just to make money because, you know, currency, it's current, it flows. Fame is fleeting. So don't worry about that. As long as you master your craft, continue to try to perfect it as you go along. Don't just say, oh, I got a hit record out there, so I'm good now. I bought a car, I got some jewelry. No, that's not what it's about. Those things are just the byproduct of fame. But if you master your craft and you build a strong artistry around yourself, you will stand the test of time. You're not always going to be on the big stage, maybe, or you're not always going to sell #1 records, but you can still be performing at a certain level and still be in the industry doing things. And I think as we get older, we tend to become kind of like teachers and handing down to the younger generations and helping them along. And that's what I did on Nigerian Idol, and that's what I still do in my personal life. I still try to help the younger generation, you know, come along as well. And I think that's what it's about, really, not just trying to be the #1 or trying to be the big, because that's fleeting, you know. And as you said earlier, invest your money, invest it.
Priceless advice there. So Shalamar live in concert, Abuja, October the 4th, coincides with Nigeria's Independence Day celebration. So whether you're young, old, hey, go get your tickets, if there's still tickets available, because I know that people are rushing that ticket. We have to thank you so much, and I must comment on your outfit. It looks like a Moody Africa outfit. I saw it, and I'm like, I know this. Am I correct?
You're spot on. This is from my brother Moody. I've known him since 2010, and he is so amazing. I love his design. Thank you very much. This is Moody.
All right, so see you October 4th. It's going to be a night to remember. Thank you very much for the great work you do. Almost 70. We wish you the very best.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. So don't forget, always be a child at heart. We'll take a moment now, and when we return, we have a Guinness World Record right here in our studio, and a record holder as well. Which of the records are we talking about? You find out in a few seconds. Stay with us.
My shoulder pad is very high right now, and for good reason. We have a Guinness World Record holder right here in our studio. Mighty George Essien, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Brief.
Morning. Thanks for having me, guys.
What a rush.
What a big-time rush, man.
You're a broadcast journalist. And
of course.
Yes, you won the Guinness World Record for the longest presentation hours, right?
That's right.
The world over.
Yeah, the world
Brilliant.
over.
Amazing.
It's shocking, right?
No, we are colleagues, you know, and to talk for 3 hours, sometimes it can be exhausting.
Yeah.
But you did it for hours on end. First of all, what informed your decision to embark on that feat?
All right, I was celebrating a milestone on radio. I mean, I haven't been in the media for a score now, 2 decades. But I've been particularly on radio. So I decided, how was I going to celebrate this? You know, so I decided, let's go for a world record. By the way, I'm still the holder of Nigeria's Radio Presenter of the Year. You know, so I decided that let's do something big, and that was particularly the major reason that informed that. And then another reason was that, I mean, I've been practicing in Akwa Ibom State for about close to around 7 years. I just also needed to put Akwa Ibom on the map. This is the first individual world record in Akwa Ibom State, you know, so it's a first. And, you know, I felt if it can be done anywhere else in Nigeria, why not Akwa Ibom as well? And if it could be done by someone, why not me? You know, so we went for this, and look at it, we have it now.
So to put a context, it's 105 hours, longest talk show marathon.
That's right. The previous record was 88 hours, set by a Japanese.
So right now, nobody has beaten that record.
No, it's not easy. If it's easy, go and do 105 hours. That's 5 days and 4 nights.
I know that. Was it during the show or immediately after the show we interviewed you?
Immediately the day, I think like 2 days after.
2 days after.
Yeah.
So walk us through, because like we've quite some people making us proud, so must comment that. Sorry, my Egba and Ijebu people, sorry. Ilda Basi did it.
You're so tribalistic.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
I mean, if you need to make noise.
A record is a record. It's not anything tribalistic. Ilda Basi has done, I think the second one now, George Essien has done this, so it's just record I'm referencing. There are other Nigerians who are also doing great. But now, the Akwa Ibom guys are holding it. So let's talk about how many days did it take? The 105 hours.
5 days.
You started what
and
time
4 nights.
and ended what time on what day?
I started midnight of April 27th.
Which was what day of the week?
Which was a Sunday.
Okay.
And I ended on Thursday by 9 a.m.
Were there times you felt like, what
Of course.
What am I doing this?
Of course.
What's going on? And how did you?
So I had people on the team who had also worked for world record attempters. And these are guys, they attempted, but they were not successful. But I had to pick those members of the team to ask them what really went wrong, you know. So I put them on a team. And at that time, people were raising an alarm. These guys that you're having, you know, they didn't complete their record. It wasn't successful. But I tapped into that. I heard some things. I heard about, you know, you should be wary of what you take. You need time to rest. So someone who tried it recently, before I did, was working and looking for sponsors and trying to set up things until the day, deep into that day when he was supposed to start the marathon. And I didn't want to do that, you know, so I took my time. Even though I started late, like preparations in terms of physical preparations. You need to work out, you need to eat right, no carbs, just proteins, no, you know, any other, no extracurricular thing if you do that, you know, so I stayed off that. And yeah, I think I was mentally fit going into it. I surrounded myself with people who encouraged me and told me I could do it. It had never been done in Akwa Ibom State before, ever. You know, but I said, why not? I could do it. But my greatest pillar of support was the chairman of my station, the owner of the station, distinguished Senator Effiong Bob, who, when I approached him with the idea, said, well, okay, I like people thinking outside the box, let's do this. And yeah, he was a major sponsor. Obviously, it was his radio station. We had to collapse programs for 4 days. But the beauty about the record is that commercials can still go on. I mean, the Guinness World Record respects the fact that it's a commercial station, so you're not going to, you know, keep advertisers like that. But it was a great opportunity for those who had placed their adverts during that period to, you know, to have more leverage.
Premium.
Yeah, premium was premium. And then people started coming to say, look, we want a place here. I think the station, you know, was the better for it. It was a frenzy at Comfort FM, you know, Uyo. Everyone came, even to the top, which is the governor. He was one of the guests. We talked politics, we talked, you know, AI, we talked entertainment. I mean, we talked everything. We talked to people in diaspora, which, of course, brings me to the most difficult parts, at nights. You know, so during the day, it's a radio record. So, you know, the radio station is restricted, the studio. It's not like the normal records where you have a crowd and they're encouraging you. And for instance, Hilda Bassi can see the crowd and she keeps moving on. You know, but I was just there with just the guests who will come in. Once in a while, if I have like my 5-minute break, I glance out, I see a full crowd. That was enough for me. So at night, obviously, except the ones that were, well, I'm actually like, you know, I'm top of the pack in Akwa Ibom State when it comes to OAPs. So I had fans who come out and all of that. But at night, when you look around, you don't see anybody. You have to motivate yourself. You know, so those were the very tough times.
Interesting.
Yeah, very tough times.
I love all of the talk, but please, can we see your CV? There you go.
Let our camera, I don't know, our camera,
Where's the
one of
camera?
our cameras will pick you. Just bring it down a bit so we can still see your face. Where you are.
That's not a mug shot, by the way. That's a Guinness World Record mug shot.
You remember what he told us? He said, mere mortals like us are not meant to
touch it.
Yeah.
Since we don't have a record, we can't touch it.
Yeah, well.
So here's the thing. I know that this is like your CV, and that's why I said that you at this point you don't need the CV. Say 1999 to 2000.
There's just this. Yeah.
This is the CV. This is the thing.
Yeah.
And I wonder how this has changed things for you. If it has, speak to us about it, because I know that you don't get money from this.
Of course.
It's just a frame that you get and the recognition. So how has this changed things for you? Because people have said that it looks like there's a world record pandemic in Nigeria. We don't know who will cook beans now, just the largest beans in the world. But how has this changed?
There's an afang soup coming, by the way.
Afang soup. We saw white soup and all of that.
I'm serious. I saw one the other day. They said somebody in Uyo.
I think they're just jokes. Really.
They're going to attempt the biggest pot of afang soup.
I think they're jokes.
We need to look for something to break. Maybe I can contest in sleep. I'm good at sleeping.
Sleeping.
Very good at sleeping.
Sleep for 5 hours.
Let's allow the record holder.
Yeah, I mean, this is not just, of course, you all know it's not just a record, it's a global recognition. And that's one. I mean, as a presenter, a media personality in Nigeria, Akwa Ibom State, it's a big deal. It puts the state on the map, and by extension, it means that the state also reckons with me. I don't know what they have planned, but I've seen support, from the governor.
Stuff, right?
They had better, well, and I'm sure they're watching right now because the state's anniversary is coming up, though.
Yeah, 23rd or so.
23rd.
I like how you
just in a few days.
Piecing things together.
I got to put it in, man. But I've received support, and I mean the governor turning up for the record was big encouragement. It means he knows, he recognizes this. No one has done it before. So I mean that puts me like steps ahead. This is a global figure. That's one. Two. I mean, on to a new chapter right now, and that's why, of course, it's going to be difficult to just pin me down in one place. I need to see how I'm going to unlock the new levels, and the new levels are one, starting up, maybe Channels TV headed first, yeah? So we'll be starting, a podcast that's going to take us around the world, because this obviously is like a global visa. So that's the secret I'm telling you guys now. If you have a Guinness World Record, you are considered, for free movement, almost free movement across the globe. It means that you have something to show, and then, and there are those schemes that the Guinness World Record also sent to us once in a while. I got a message 2 weeks ago about an opportunity to go and speak in Denmark. I was like, okay, good, because I mean, this is, I had calls also from South Africa, like 2 TV stations and some radio stations who want me to come down to just come tell them how, I was able to do this. That's another level unlocked. And I have projects I'm going to do as well, my foundation. I mean, obviously, if I'm going to take this to a sponsor, a corporate body, you can't tell me, you can't just push it away now, So those are the things that, the benefits that come with this. Yes, financial, they don't give us money, but they give us this. And you must know that they are very thorough people, all right? The Guinness World Records don't just get up and give people their certificate. There are many people who are attempters. In fact, this year alone, I know that people have tried this same record. I'm sure you heard about it, right? Did you?
We probably didn't, because they didn't.
Okay, yeah.
Why you don't hear things.
So they have tried that. And the issue is not even in the attempt itself. It's what follows after. It's how thorough you are, your documentation. I mean, nobody warned me. The guys, my team didn't even warn me that, look, after this attempt, your documentation is going to be, it took me another month to answer questions and on timing, on scheduling, on the cameras, on the mistakes that were made. We actually made a mistake. One of the timekeepers added 5 minutes extra to me. And then when I got that message, I was like, wow, so it's true. You know, I felt something in my heart like, oh, is it true that people never get this in Akwa Ibom State? But I was calm, I answered them. And, you know, 2 weeks after, I just got the, you know, the email. And how did I feel? I was elated. I was in cloud nine, really, when that came.
You know, I was going to ask, you know, because former Governor Babatunde Fashola that said the reward for hard work is more work.
More work.
But you've already, you know, given us an insight into what the near future holds. But, you know, Kade said there's a pandemic for Guinness World Record ambition. So for those who are watching you right now and saying, I want to get this plaque, you know, for another, you know, endeavor, what counsel will you be offering them, particularly with regards to the experience you had? You talked about, you know, the forms, you know, the detail, attention to detail and everything. Give them some guidance.
They need to come for consultancy, yeah?
So that's added to the list.
In fact, I'm now a GWR consultant. I'm putting that right now. Because, I mean, it's...
So you're very miserly with your advice right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've just given you some expose on, you know, what this can do to you, obviously. I mean, people hit me up every time, send me DMs on all social media. In fact, I have like 3 people now who I am doing some consultancy for. But I tell them, look, you need to be very genuine in your intentions. And these guys are going to ask you, why are you doing this? And when they are satisfied, it takes them about 12 weeks, you know, after your application to decide if they should give it to you, give you a try. You know, so first of all, be very open and sincere about what you want to do. They would also investigate. Oh, is this just doing this to chase clout? Is it this? Is he really who he says he is? Is she this? Is she that? And look at, I mean, like Hilda. Obviously, if she goes for another one, they'll give it to her because they know her credibility and all of that. And she's who she says she is. So first of all, your intentions must be pure and true and genuine and something that can rub off on the society. If you're going to put an answer that, oh, I just want to be the best, you know, it has to make sense and have an impact. Like I told them also, I wanted to encourage the next set of radio broadcasters. Radio is being threatened somehow with the advent of social media. When we started, and podcasts. When we started radio 20 years ago, there was no social media. You know, so no one competing and except TV. But now, an advertiser wants to place adverts. He looks at an influencer that has 6.5 million and says, no, I'm going to raise 6.5 million. That's sure, not radio. But I just needed to show that radio can be still relevant and glamorous. And so I did this one for radio, and I did it for myself as well.
But as we begin to wind down, when I used to work in New York, listening to your
radio we miss you.
We're just trying to do what we can do.
Yeah.
How did your because you used to do these sports shows for very long hours.
Yeah, sports marathon.
Prepare you?
Sports marathon, yeah.
Sports marathon. Did that help prepare you?
It did.
And of course, we're going to ask this question about, let me add it in case producers say our time is up. The issue around the Super Eagles. Add that to the question.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, I think that one of the Guinness World Records representative joked that, oh, he's been preparing for this for 20 years. I mean, so I've been talking on radio for 20 years. So that was a preparation. And then, of course, sports marathon, talking sports for that long. I'm also the official stadium announcer for the Super Eagles, and I'm MPFL commentator as well. I'm in charge of the South-South for the MPFL.
So I probably heard you in one of the matches.
Yes, of course. You must have heard me.
So, I hope it's not the person I'm thinking now. I hope you're not the person.
You know, so anything around the mic.
There's another gent. Just continue.
Yeah, anything around the mic, I'm there. You know, and I've trained a number of people who are also big commentators today in Nigeria. So I love the mic. I've been with it, you know. The only thing I haven't done is mainstream TV. You know, maybe I'll join you guys if you give me an opportunity.
Okay.
You know,
I just remembered what you said about, you know, radio, social media. I just thought about it. It's actually the cycle of life. Because people on radio, by the way, I was on radio. We're all on radio. But you people on radio chased away the town criers.
Oh.
They were the influencers. They were the big deals there. But you guys came and people just moved away. Imagine how town criers feel right now.
No, I mean...
There's no more town criers.
That's the point.
Town criers are now content creators. I'm telling you.
So you always have to reinvent.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, that prepared me. And then you talked about Super Eagles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now it's in the hands of God. Do you believe?
It is. It is.
Divinity can help us out?
Even if we get South Africa get their points deducted, I think that it will now be between Benin Republic and South Africa because they'll be on 14 points each. Nigeria will be on 11. I mean, when you expect the Super Eagles to do the job, when you're sitting down, you're still scared that they won't do that job. So everyone has God. But we pray. I mean, it looks like it's working in favor of the Super Eagles. Point deduction very imminent right now, and it looks like we might qualify second place. But it's now down to the boys. It's tired. We're tired in this campaign now. We're tired of blaming the administrators and the coaches. Now the boys need to fight. Victor Osimhen, largely one of the best African players in the past 5 years. He's missing 2 World Cups. In the next World Cup, he's never been to a World Cup.
Only
Lukman hasn't been there.
Second.
That's right. They haven't been there. So they need to fight for it and see how, we need to see how they really want it once they're given the opportunity.
They can come to the girls for some consultancy. We'll offer them free of
the girls
charge,
look up to them. What an irony.
Well, Mighty George Asian, your intention was to inspire. You have done more than that. And
Thank you very
much.
What a rush.
Success
what a big time
in your
rush.
future endeavors.
Thank you.
George Asian is a broadcast journalist and winner of the Guinness World Record for the longest presentation hours, 105. So if you want to attempt it and beat his record, you should be considering doing 6 to 7 days. Maybe you want to do for television as well. Thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you very much. I don't take this for granted. Thank you. Thank you for the love.
There's more to come on the program. Stay with us. We'll be right back. There's more light-hearted conversation. You'll enjoy this one. Stay with us.
Let's continue with the creative sector, and let's talk about movies. There's a movie called My Father's Shadow, and the producer-writer is joining us from our Abuja studios. Mr. Wale Davis joins us. Oh, virtually. Sorry, I transported you to our studios. Maybe some other time. Davis, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me. I'm very honored. It's a privilege for me to be able to be on this morning to speak to you, to speak to Nigerians. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Before we talk about the movie and the creative sector, there's one question I think I must ask you so that I don't forget. Which is a tougher job when it comes to movie production? I know every part of production is important, from even the conceptualization or the idea in the direction of that movie. But writing and producing, which is tougher?
For me, this is a difficult question. I would say writing took me, because I started writing the idea for this film 10 years ago in 2015. And so it's been a 10-year journey. But I would still say production is tougher. Production is tougher in the context of raising the funding for the film, having people that can believe and want to back your film, and then the actual production of the film itself. We shot across Lagos, Ibadan, and as you know, shooting in Lagos has a lot of challenges. Shooting in Nigeria has a lot of challenges, and it's an act of persistence and perseverance for you to fully get to these challenges. So I would say production is definitely tougher.
So let's talk about the movie itself. So for people who haven't seen it, I'm sure this will be a great insight into the movie. Tell us about the concept behind it.
So the concept is actually just exploring themes around fatherhood, exploring themes around nationhood, exploring themes around brotherhood. It's about 2 young boys who get to spend a day with their father in the big city. Their father is somebody who spends a lot of time working, so they don't really see him in their life that much. And this day they get to spend, but then the backdrop of the day is also the annulment. It's the day the expectation of an announcement of the winner of the June 12 election. So this the day the election is actually annulled. So there's a lot of tension, a lot of palpable tension in the country on that particular day in 1993. And so, yeah, so it's a journey for them going in on this particular day to Lagos, into the big city with their father, spending the day with him, whilst the country is also experiencing some turbulence as well.
So you, if I'm not mistaken, you co-wrote this film with your brother, Akinola Davies.
Yes.
And I'm compelled to ask, how personal is the story for you and your brother? Because we see in the film also, you know, two young boys spending the day with their father.
Yes. I mean, it is quite personal. I think that, you know, unfortunately, we both lost our father at a very young age. I was 5 years old, and I think perhaps some of the film is the idea of us wondering what it would be like to get to spend a day with our father. What are the questions we would have wanted to ask? What are the things we would have wanted to discover about him? What are perhaps some of the things he would have wanted to share with us as well? I also 5 years ago became a father, you know, so my daughter is the same age I was when my father passed away, you know, so it's also experiencing that, the balance of working, trying to make money to provide for your family versus your physical presence, you know, or in some cases your absence because you're working and you're having to balance these two things. So I think it's really just speaking to that. It's really speaking to the concept of fatherhood. I have a lot of friends who, you know, because I didn't have my father present, you know, I spoke to a lot of friends and found out and observed their own relationships with their fathers. And some of them say, you know, my father is just this tough guy that whenever he comes, I'm scared, I run. We all run into the house. We don't have a chance to speak to him. He's very rarely vulnerable because the father role has been defined as mainly the breadwinner and the caretaker, you know, in some ways. But I think there's also a question about, you know, relationship between father and his children, you know, and how we can start to redefine that relationship, how we can start to build more communicative. Someone told me the other day that they've never heard their father say, I love you before. And even if he did, it would feel strange, you know, so I think it's just asking some of these questions. I feel the purpose of art is to provoke and ask questions, you know, and that's what we're trying to achieve with the film.
You know, to be fair, I think our fathers found a way to say I love you without saying it. They say it like,
exactly.
Have you eaten?
Exactly.
Sorry, Kyle,
exactly.
we want to hear it.
You should go to bed early. That's how to say I love you. Have you eaten? How do you feel? But that's just by the way. I am really curious about how you were able to implement and achieve this masterpiece. Some call it the filmmaker's film, because it's a delight for filmmakers. And I must mention, for people who don't know, that this movie also made history, becoming the first ever Nigerian film to be selected for the Cannes Film Festival, where it won special mention for the camera d'Or, I believe that's what it's called, just to mention how much of a big deal this movie is. But I want to know how you were able to set the scene well, because this was set in 1993, right? So you had to get all of the elements right. The setup had to be right. You had to get elements from 1993. That's 22 years ago. So how were you able to curate all of those elements? Fine, I know you will do well to shoot in certain angles so you don't expose too much. But how were you able to get all of those props, elements to really convince us that this was 1993?
I think as well, you know, you asked the question about production. I think the first thing is even the challenge of production is one thing. Then for the film, we use child actors. So that's another added challenge to the production. Then on top of the child actors, we shot a period piece, which means that there's no mobile phones, no Apple Watch, no even cars. Like, we have to ensure that the cars, we have to get it down to the Naira notes that were being used at that time, down to the fashion that was being used at that time, down to the set design that was being used at that time. Then we also now shot on celluloid as well, which was another challenge in itself. So it's as if we gave ourselves, on top of the regular production challenges, we now stacked more and more challenges on top of it. So it was very difficult, I would say, but we're very grateful that we had amazing set production design team called Anti-Design. We had amazing costumer who came in from the UK. Her name is PC Williams. She's also Nigerian. And we just, you know, try to build this world. You know, building a world is difficult. I'm sure that, you know, there's certain moments where somebody might look and say, but this statue was not there in 1993. So there are still some things that you can't completely eradicate. But for us, we attempted to build a world, and and try and transport people back. I was 11, the same age as one of the characters in the film in 1993, which is me exposing my age on national TV. But I think that I tried to just go back on memory, what I remembered from that time as a child, you know, and try to put as much of that into the film as possible, or into the writing of the film as possible.
1993, that will be 33 years ago. And pardon me, I'm not trying to reveal your age. It was just because Kayode said 23 years ago, moments ago. So right now, Mr. Davies, I'm angry on behalf of Nigerians. And the reason is simple, because the release is set for streaming platform Mubi. How can Nigerians get to, you know, delight in the beauty of the message of this film if it's not on a platform that they can easily access?
No, that's a great question, and I'm very happy to quell your anger because as of today, My Father's Shadow is out in cinemas. This is the first theatrical release of the film anywhere in the world. It's currently in all Film House, Film One cinemas across the country. So please tell all Nigerians not to be angry, and please support us to actually watch the film. I think for me it's very important that, you know, I appreciate and I understand the legacy and the importance of a festival like Cannes. It gives us global eyeballs, it gives us resources and hopefully more opportunities in the future to make more films. But I'm also very, very, to me, it's very important that Nigerians get to see the film. It's a film about Nigeria, it's a film shot in Nigeria, it's a film acted and everything is done by Nigerians. Yes, we had partnerships with companies and organizations in the UK, you know, but for us it's a Nigerian film, and I want people to watch it. I want people to look at it and hopefully see themselves, hopefully have some nostalgia, hopefully see some of their family within the context of this family in the film, and also, you know, have some of the raise some of the discussion or dialogue that I hope the film provokes within us. So for me, please support an artist, you know, support, I was about to say struggling artist, but support an artist. Please go out and see the film, tell your friends, tell your family, take your father, take your mother, take your children, and yes, and hopefully, and also as well, just in the context of 1993, especially because history is such a touchy subject now, I also think for the younger generation who perhaps were born in the 2000s, who don't really know, I mean, they've heard about what happened in 93, but they don't know the experience of what people felt in that moment, what the nation felt in that moment. Hopefully they also learn more about their country's history through the film as well.
There's a lot I still want to ask you, really, because this masterpiece is mind-blowing. I want to speak to the child actors, and I think you talked about them. I think they're brothers in real life, Marvelous and Godwin. Am I correct?
Yes. Yes, they are brothers.
Fantastic.
They are brothers.
How tough was it getting actors? I mean, we can talk about Shokwe Dirisu. We shouldn't talk about him because it's expected he should do well, right? But the child actors, right? How tough was it getting them? And how tough was it shooting them? I remember watching, what's his name now? Jackie Chan always does the, the post-roll scenes or something like that, and he shows just how tough it is, how many times they have to do the takes. Sorry, say that again. My director is giving me the right term. Behind the scenes. So, right, you see how tough it is. At some point, he's angry that we've shot this scene 10 times. We've wasted, time and all of that. So, was that the case with the child actors? That's Godwin and Marvelous. Or how was the experience shooting them?
I think, to be honest, first of all, it was very difficult. It was one of the most challenging casting pieces of the film. We went to we did call-outs around 7 states in the country. We looked for child actors from drama schools, from church, from secondary schools, from from drama groups. We reached far and wide. We did castings in Lagos, in Ibadan. We tried to find out, and we had people also send in self-tapes as well, so we could try and locate and find. And in the first or second round, we didn't find these boys. And in the last round, we had a selection of boys we had shortlisted to come in. And we now said, okay, let's just select from the tapes and have some other people to come and bolster this original selection. And funny enough, they were the kids, they were within that group of kids that were on the self-tapes that we had brought in. And the other thing as well is that we didn't know that they were brothers because they were labeled, their names were labeled wrong. So we had no idea they were brothers when we started casting, and then we noticed that these two boys, there's a natural thing that brothers do when they play or they put each other, or, you know, and we now found out that, oh wow, they're actually brothers, and they're the good thing about it, even though they had never acted before, their mother is also an actor. And so I think that was probably why they were able to retain lines so well, because I've never seen even adults struggle in some ways to retain lines the way they did. And on set, they were really a joy to work with. Everybody has to now play a fatherly role. Shokwe Dirisu as well came in, and he played almost a fatherly role because we'd see him off camera reading their lines and going through their lines with them.
I know if I allow you the story, you keep going and going. You're a storyteller, so why not if not? But we're totally out of time. In 10 seconds, how much did it cost to shoot? How much are you expecting to make out of it? If you can.
Well, I would say the budget was very significant. I would say, without fully exposing the numbers, it's a very significant budget. It's the biggest thing we've ever worked on before. And we're hoping that if plenty of people go to the cinemas to watch it whilst it is in Nigeria, if plenty of people, when it does a global theatrical release, go and watch it, hopefully we'll get the ability to make more films and tell more stories like this. Yeah, so thank you for the time on the platform.
That's a very, I don't know whether it's called, I don't know whether to call it diplomatic or political answer, but whatever it is, it's convenient. But we appreciate it. Wale Davis is the writer and producer of the movie My Father's Shadow. Thank you so much and good luck.
Thank you. I appreciate the platform. Thank you so much. God bless you.
And that's it on the program. It's a weekend. I always advise, make sure you take care of yourself, have the best time of your life. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. Bye-bye. Don't forget, Sunrise Daily is up next. We'll be back next week. I am Bukola Koka.
And at least you have something to watch this weekend. So go out there, watch My Father's Shadow. Make sure that you support that beautiful work that's been done so they can make more. All right? So make it a date. I should be watching it myself. I'm Kayode Okikelu. Sunrise Daily is next. Have a great weekend.